Covenant Talks with Dr. Holly. I am here with my guest tonight, my very own mother. I'm so excited to have Mrs. C in the building. Listen, let's go.
Hi, y'all.
This is such a great journey, like to have mom here, and I want you just to be real comfortable, mother. To be able to do this with Mama Dog. Everybody's like, I know Mama Dog, y'all don't know my mother. Stop it. But I love that we can have this session. And I think that everybody feels so familiar with you because I talk about you like all the time. And
Aw.
I just really wanted to, along this journey, I've been such an advocate and I've had an opportunity to talk to so many different people and really try to advocate for relationships. And I just love that you have a different perspective. You're a woman that's in her 60s, you know, and some of the conversations that I hear nowadays is that people find it challenging when it comes to this place of love. And so I've experienced you in different seasons of my life to where, of course, with my own father, experiencing the love that you guys have, and many would know that he's no longer with us. But I
Right.
am very fortunate, very, very fortunate that my mother was blessed to be able to cross paths with another gentleman who aligns with her life. And guess what? She said yes. Which
I
is
did.
so exciting. She did. She said yes. So I really wanted to dive in because when you got into a place in your life and you're starting over, like sometimes you can be very comfortable in your singleness, or even the journey could be like just daunting. So what would you say made you decide to give marriage another chance? You know, after going through a divorce, also losing dad, what would you say made you decide to say yes and give love a try
Well,
and marry again?
initially, I had concluded that I was not going to marry again because I had become so complacent and content in the way, I had a good life. I mean, I had a really good life, but I still had an emptiness, that I felt that I still needed to feel, that significant other because I was with your dad for like a long time. So,
Yeah.
but with that being said, I met a guy, um, and I mean, that's kind of it. It was like, we dated once, and it wasn't our time at that time. And then we kind of crossed
Okay.
paths again, like years on, and we crossed paths again. And it was like, okay, this must be my husband. So why don't I
Mm.
try and give it a try? And that's what I did.
Okay. Nice. So thinking about that because you have been married before and here you are in a second marriage, what lessons would you say that you carried into your second, and before you answer that, because like, you know, my grandparents, just my granny, is very, very big. She used to always tell me, no two loves are the same. So I know that you don't love your current husband because it's a different type of love, especially because we go through different seasons. So what lessons could you say that you carried into the second marriage, that's grown you?
Well, well, in my first marriage, I was really young. So,
Mhm.
you look at life a little bit different than you do when you're older. So in this marriage, I just, you know, I brought into this marriage to do something different that I did in my first marriage, which was be more listener. Because when I was younger, I wasn't really a good listener. Uh,
Tell your truth.
True. Communication, I was not a good communicator. And I had an amazing husband. Of course, your dad was amazing, but I mean, I was none of those things. I was young, so I wasn't really ready what I thought was marriage. Of course, I wanted it to last forever. It did not.
Mhm.
But so I
Mhm.
did learn to say, hey, be a good communicator, a listener. You have to listen
Yeah.
because my current husband, he is an amazing communicator. So I'm still working on me.
So he's
But
teaching you some things. He's teaching you some
he
things.
really does. He really does
That's
because
good.
when we don't agree with something, he said, hey,
Mhm.
let's sit down and let's talk about it. If I'm
Okay.
not ready to talk about it, if I feel like I need my space, he'll give me that space. And then, when I'm ready, I'll say, okay, let's talk about it. And then we reason. I mean, nothing's perfect. Of course, you know that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
there's always going to be ups and downs, but you still have to work at it.
Absolutely. That's good stuff. Well, what would you say? So with that, what would you say your perspective is, on love and like partnership? Like how would you say that that has evolved? Because again, you were married very young, and now you're in a place where you know are in your 50s going into a marriage, and that's something totally different than what you experienced when you were. What age were you when you got married the
Huh?
first time? How old were
How
you when you got married the first time?
old?
Like in your 20s? What you say?
I think I was in my 20s. Was I was so young when I met him, though, so I'm having to think
Yeah,
back. So,
I know.
I was like, okay,
Like
19,
how
I
old?
think I was 19 when I met your dad, and he was
Okay.
like 18 or 17 or something like that.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
but we got married, I want to say in my 20s, early 20s, early 20s.
Okay.
So we're still growing, we were young.
That's a lot. So then between
Yeah.
that, but the point is that that's like a 30-year difference. So
Hmm.
just your perspective on love and partnership and how that evolved based off of where you were, that 30 years ago compared to where you are right now.
Well, now, just look, the guy that I have, my husband, of course, you
Yeah.
know, confidence. He had a lot of
Mm.
confidence in himself, and that's very important because
Yeah.
you don't want to meet someone that does not have that confidence.
That's
Because
true.
then, that goes with integrity, and he's accountable for a lot of things, and so am I. It's just not he, it's us. We are,
Hmm.
integrity, honesty, and all that goes into it. So, where we are in our lives right now, we hold each other accountable.
Nice.
We show, integrity when it comes to things. It's not just a marriage. I think it's a partnership. It's not like people
Hmm.
say, oh, it's 50-50. No, ain't no marriage 50-50. We 100
That's true.
100, honey. We ain't no fifty
That's
fifty
very true.
here.
Yeah, that's
So,
true. I think that's
yeah,
very important. Um,
yeah.
the mindset. I understand that it may work for some people when they have like a 50-50 mindset, but I think it's very important that I always tell people one of my greatest lessons that I've learned from my grandparents and from my parents has been that to not go into it with the division, like the dividedness. And so you have to be willing to give 100% of yourself, and that person that you're
Yep.
with needs to be
As
willing to
hard as
be
it
the
may
same. So
be.
50-50 just does it.
And
Yeah,
it was hard at
that's good.
first. I mean, because think about it. I was so independent. I didn't
Yeah.
depend on anyone. I had several homes. I mean, I did well
Hmm.
financially, well.
Hmm.
You know that. But I had to trust in my partner, in my
Yeah.
husband, to say, you know what, he loves me for me. And it's not about the material things. It's not because he has way more than I do.
Right.
I can't even, get where he's at. But where I am now, because I'm married to
Yeah.
him.
Because you're
So,
married to him. So
yeah,
y'all
I
better
am now.
together.
We're better,
Yeah.
a lot better. I mean,
See, I think that's important. Like, because so many people are like, what is this benefit of the marriage? And
mm,
I know that when two people really truly align with each other, one of the most beautiful things that does happen, and you don't have that divided mindset, is that you realize that you are sharing resources, and your lives become so much better because you're not dealing with the weight of the world. Like you said, you can do it, but it's really better when two
your
are
life
joined
so much
together.
easier, isn't it? And
Hmm.
he even said the other day, he said, you know what, Miss C, as I would say. Of course, he don't call
Yeah.
me that, but he said, he said, you know what, without you, my credit wouldn't be the way it is now. Because,
Mhm.
credit, I'm a big thing on credit,
Mhm.
because I sued my
Mhm.
mortgage company. So I don't play with my credit.
Yeah.
So, I have like, ooh, way up there credit. So, and, he didn't value credit like I did when we got together. But it was not a deal breaker because, see, I
Yeah.
know because of who I am
That's
and
important.
how I value credit, he's that way. And his score is
Yeah.
a lot better than mine's now.
Isn't that something? But I think that that's something that is important that you can look at a person's situation because there's like a lot of people that have, whether it's they haven't been with a significant other or they've gone through a divorce and they're kind of rebuilding. And some people can be so hard and they'll be like, oh, you got messed up credit. I'm not. Like, my thing is, what are you willing to do about your situation? I think
Right.
that's
You
very
can't be like that. Yeah, you can't be like that.
important.
And I wasn't like that because I was willing to work with him to get his credit where it needed to be.
Yeah.
So hey, and we're doing good, real good.
That's good. I think that when it is a partnership, like sowing those seeds into each other is very, very important. So, okay.
Right.
So, what are some of the most important qualities that you look for in him? Like, what are some of the things that you look for in him? Like this time around, like, because again, I just know that you you grew obviously, so there had to be
Mhm.
something that you were desiring in this aspect of your life. So, what is something quality wise in a man that you were looking for?
I was just wanting someone for emotional support that, because of course, we as women sometimes can be so strong and don't feel like, oh,
Hmm.
I can do this on my own.
Hmm.
No, we really can't. I mean, yeah, it to have that support and it's coming
Hmm.
from your significant others, it means a lot because
It does.
like when I lost my mom, if
Hmm.
I had not had a husband, I don't know what I would have done. And yeah, people have gone through death and has lost their parents and whatever and have made it, but it made life a lot easier for
The
me
support system.
during that
Yeah.
time. And it's a good support
Hmm.
system.
Hmm.
And then like I say, commitment, stability, all of those
Hmm.
things, align with that. For me, is
Yeah.
what
I think
because
that's
when you
really
get with
good.
someone, yeah, because then not on that it has social benefits. Think about it
Hmm.
too.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
I'd
Because
say
it's easy for
very
us to
strong.
get caught up in physical stuff like when we're young, but you realize that when you get to a certain age, things start changing. Like it ain't just all about that stuff. It has to be something greater than that.
No, and I used to be real physical. I didn't like, I used to say, hey, and I'm short, but I would always say, I don't want no short man.
Oh my
Of course,
God.
my
I
husband is
mean, he's
really tall.
tall, so
I know
that's
he is
hilarious.
tall, but I mean, that's not why I married him. And then, and I used to always say, well, I'm not really into heavy men. Okay, okay, my husband has a little weight, and I'm okay with that.
Hmm.
It was not a
Yeah,
deal breaker, because
yeah.
he's a good guy. He's a
He's a
really
good
good
guy.
guy.
Hmm.
I wouldn't
Yeah.
trade him for the world. I mean, I ain't going nowhere, so he can pack up and leave, and I'm gonna be hanging on to his legs.
Lord. I have a friend that told me, he said, when it really comes to love and you find yourself loving a person, like all that stuff that we think that matters goes out the window because love is just that powerful.
It
And I
is.
think
It
when you
really,
find
really is.
yourself in a place where you love someone, you may not be all the way in love with them, but when you do have that feeling of love, it changes things for
It
you.
changes everything. Everything.
Hmm. Hmm. So what would you say? Did your would you haven't had a divorce prior? Did it change your view um, on your own role or responsibilities, like in a marriage, like how you perceive, like what you wanted to be, or your own personal role in a marriage going into it? What would you say?
Well, yeah, because like for my first marriage, like I said, I was really young, but I knew if
Hmm.
I ever got married again, that I would
Okay.
do things different. I would be a good listener. I would, I would communicate better, and I just don't think I did those things. And so I feel like now I said that, and then you know what? We have made God the head of our lives, and that has
Very
helped.
important. Yeah,
And a
that's
lot of people
very
say God
important.
fearing. What is God fearing? I
Hmm.
have a God fearing man. I
Yeah.
mean, he loves the Lord. So, and I know that has really helped us. And see,
Hmm.
that just, it played a role in my first marriage, but it didn't play a
Hmm.
role like it does now because we
Wow,
were
that's
younger. So,
huge.
I'm more focused now.
Absolutely.
We're
You
more
have a
focused.
different value system too
We
when you're
do.
older too. That's
Yeah.
good. Yeah. I know that your faith being a huge part of your process, and as you grow into it you see the value in it, and I think it's very important. That's actually one of the things that I have led with um the spiritual side of things, that faith. Like if you don't have that, like I don't we don't even need to have a conversation. I need to know that when I'm praying or if I'm going through something, you can pray for me. And we have that connection. I think that's very important. So,
And you know what, Doc? This is what I did. Like even before, of course I had met him prior to, but I wasn't ready. But
hmm,
even when he was going on with his life, I used to always pray, just Lord, send me that God-fearing man. Just send me a
yeah,
man that's gonna love me for me, and
yeah.
someone that we can relate to each other. And it's like, okay, here he comes again. And I know that had to been fate. I believe that. I really believe that. I mean,
Yeah.
and I'm like,
What is
this
meant to
must be
be,
my
it will
dude.
be. Yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
what I said.
I think for me as your daughter, I think that's a key thing for me as your daughter is to be at a place of peace. That mama, I think he's an okay guy. I think this is someone
Yeah,
that that's your husband. Like, and to see that and to feel confident about it is a very telling story as well too.
yeah.
So
Because not only do you feel that way, my son and my other daughter,
yeah.
you know.
Well, I can't
So
speak for them, but I know I can speak for
I
myself.
can speak for them.
And I
I
just
can
know,
speak
like,
for them.
you just want for obviously you would want for your parents to be together and to have this long life together. But obviously, if that does not happen, like that person that comes in their life, if they open themselves up, you want them to be treated well. That's very important. Don't be mistreat my mama. That's a
Yeah,
big
you know,
thing.
of
So when you
course,
see a
of
person
course.
is good and doing right by them and have a respect, I think that's a huge thing. So you have peace and you make peace with that and say,
Yeah,
okay, you
and
know what, this
I'm sure you
ingredient.
see. Look, I'm sure you see that. So.
Yeah, obviously, yes, yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Mhm.
This is good. So I wanna get off into like your beliefs about marriage. I have a couple of questions that I'll ask you about your beliefs. We're doing very good. If you guys are watching and tuning in, I want you to know that this is Covenant Talks with Dr. Holly. I am here with Mrs. C, Mama Doc. Y'all know it. We wanted to take this time to just have an intimate talk like she and I always do every single day. This is nothing new for us while we're just chatting up.
No, but this is new for
But
me, though.
it's new for her. She's not done this whole live stream thing, so
No,
this is something
no.
that is new for her. But just wanted to give a candid talk because I just believe that just like she has had a story, that her story can be beneficial to others when they hear it, and you can be encouraged by it. I think that's the biggest thing is that people can be encouraged by your story because
I
there
think
are a
so.
lot of people that are defeated. There are a lot of people that's defeated. They hear so
Mm,
much negativity centered around love, relationships, and definitely marriage. So I'm just like, I just want to do my part.
yeah.
I just want to do my part and advocate for love. So this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm doing. So I would say the fact that here you are, you're married again. Why do you believe that marriage is still worth pursuing,
Well, I
even
believe,
after
like
going
I
through a
said,
divorce?
well,
Like,
because of emotional support, commitment,
okay,
stability, legal and social benefits. That's
hmm
why I believe it's still beneficial. I just
okay,
do. I mean, because yeah, you can do all those things, but with a significant other, you could do it better. And I
okay.
believe it's still worth pursuing. Because,
If
just think if I didn't have a husband, or if I didn't work, and if something happens to me, I still have my husband that will support me, and I would do the
hmm
same. So if
hmm
something happens that where he couldn't work, hey, I
it's a
got it.
partnership.
And then just like
hmm
when he ended up, I almost lost him. When he
hmm
had the sepsis, he had caught sepsis.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I almost lost him. And so my thing is, I'm like, oh Lord, I haven't been married but like 6 years.
Yeah.
But the thing of it is, I had to take off my
It's
job.
scary.
I
hmm
was at the hospital with him every day. I did not leave him. So my thing is, those are the supports, that you
hmm
have to be able to, and the commitment, because I was there for him, and he would do the
Yeah.
same for me. So
I
if
don't think people
I,
understand how big emotional support is and just support
oh,
overall. Because I hear people talk about a lot of things, but supporting your person that you're liking it with is very important.
and he even said that he said, you know what?
hmm
If you wasn't in my life, I don't know what I would do. Because yes, he has children, but they're a little bit
Yeah.
younger, and they're not here.
Yeah.
So, and they're
And that
not
makes
at
a
a point
difference.
where they would take, and then
They're
his
close.
family's not here, does
Yeah.
not live here.
Wow.
So,
Yeah.
marriage can benefit. I mean, a lot of us. We just have
Okay.
to give it
That's
a chance.
huge.
We
That's
have to give it a
huge.
chance. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's worth pursuing.
So
That's for sure.
it's worth pursuing, guys. Did you hear
I
that?
think so. I think so.
So, in your own words, how would you define a successful marriage?
Oh man,
I mean,
love,
or even if you just have to get okay. I was like, or is it just one word? Like, what would be,
love,
love is
forgiveness,
the success that you get.
quality time, being able to be there for each other. So I mean,
hmm
just
hmm
having that commitment. And I always go back to that commitment.
the commitment. So would you say that based off of where you were when you were younger married to where you are now, um, would you say that definition has changed over the years?
Yes, yeah. Because I didn't have all of those things. And I had a good first husband. I would never
Yeah,
take that from him. But I
absolutely.
didn't really understand how to be a wife.
That makes sense.
Nobody gives you a book and say, hey, this is
Nobody.
what you're supposed to do. You
Yeah,
have to learn.
you have to
And then,
figure it out.
growing up, you see your parents, but they don't tell you when you go off and get married, say, this is what you need to do as a wife. You have to learn those
Absolutely.
things.
You
And I
do.
didn't learn
I
it
think we
that
get
time, but I
groomed
learned it
per
later.
se. Like I
Hmm.
think, like for me, like I saw the emphasis on marriage, like the importance that we place as a
Right,
family. So that true training ground and saying, "Hey, this is what you do." Like you said, that was just not there. It is trial and error,
right.
definitely. Ooh,
Yep.
yes.
I mean, because I saw my mother and father, and I'm
Yeah.
not, I've always had a two-parent family. So I
Hmm.
didn't grow up from like a broken home. I had a
Yeah.
two-point family, a family, mom and a father, all my life until
Hmm.
my mom passed. But so it still did not teach me how to be a wife. It taught me some
Absolutely.
values and morals, but
Absolutely.
it didn't really
Hmm.
tell me everything that I needed to do to make my marriage work.
Yeah. I think that's a big thing for me. It's like being in a place of having gone through divorce myself. It's like you never want to experience that, but it is a matter of how do I be better and what have I learned so that I can be the best number one woman first and foremost, and then I to be a wife.
Drop the
And
baggage, make
what
sure
is
there's no baggage. Look, make sure you ain't taking that baggage with that marriage.
that's
You
true.
can't take it. Oh my God.
Yeah,
I
that's a heavy
mean, yeah.
lifting. That's a heavy, and I know a lot of people talk about being healed and different things like that, but I just feel like that healing is a journey. So there is some work that we need to do, but
Yeah.
sometimes, like you said, even with that connection, that partnership that you have, like you guys will complete a thing in each other and strengthen that healing and make it more solid. So yes, we
Right.
do a word, but sometimes that connection that you have with that person that you're meant to like it with can be all the world of different. So good stuff. Okay, you doing good over there?
Who, me?
You said, yeah, you. Just
Yeah.
making sure you surviving. You look
Oh,
cold.
oh,
I
you know
want to
what the
talk to you.
fan
Oh,
is
okay. I
on
was like,
the
what is it?
it is
Okay.
cold in here. I think he has the AC on or something. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Okay, but anyway, we're moving on.
I want to talk to you about your challenges and your triumphs. What was the hardest part of overcoming your fears about or even your doubts about uh, marriage, especially having one ended? Like, what was some of the fears like overcoming that? Hardest part of overcoming?
Because I just feel like since I got married so young the first time around, I just kind of felt like we outgrew each other. Not that we didn't love each
Hmm.
other, I just feel like we just outgrew each other. And I didn't want to, the challenge for me was to not get into another marriage and we just kind of like outgrow each other.
Yeah.
So my husband, he dates me and we date each other. I mean, I tell you,
Very
because like,
important.
like for Valentine's Day, every day up until no, well, not every day, but like the week before, like today, starting on Monday, he'll give me
Hmm.
something every day until Valentine's Day.
Nice. Nice.
I mean, he's more into that, and he don't believe in that. He don't like me to get him gifts. He don't like me to do all of that stuff because he feel like it's his job, but I still surprise him with some things.
So you don't put an emphasis on Valentine's Day, but he do put the emphasis. You would say.
Yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
I don't. My birthday
I think
means
it's
more
good.
to me than Valentine's Day.
So in your marriage, your birthday means more than Valentine's Day. That makes perfect sense. I always tell people, and they get shocked. I was like, I don't. I've never like really like per se participated or made a big deal out of it. Um, but there's other things like you said, my birthday that has a greater
Yeah,
value for me
to
than a
me.
Valentine's Day. And then too, I would rather spend time loving each other and making sure that we're on a discovery of 365 love, not just
And
focus
that's what
on
he
one day.
does. I mean, he
Hmm.
don't focus on one day because, My thing is he'll like, he'll do stuff for Valentine's Day, but he do things for me all the time.
all the
And I do
time. I
things for
think that's
him,
very
just
important.
random. We just do random stuff. So you don't have to wait until that particular time.
Exactly.
But
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 so
for
many
Valentine's
couples
Day,
do that. Wait till
yeah.
holidays to pour into their person, and I just think that that's such an unhealthy place to
Give
be.
me
I
my
think we
flowers
just
while I
practice.
live. I don't want y'all waiting till, no. He
It's
give me
definitely
my
more to
flowers every
life.
day.
Yeah, it's more to life than just these commercialized. And like I think it's just an extra day to show love, but we definitely should practice
Yeah.
love every single day.
Right.
So I do agree about that. So how do you and now your now husband, how do you guys handle like conflict?
I think I said it a little bit earlier, where we just, if we don't agree on something, and that happens. I mean, like I say, no marriage is perfect. Uh,
Mhm.
and I just say, can you give me a moment? Just give me a
Mhm.
moment. Let me collect my thoughts, and let's meet back at the table, and we can talk about it. And he'll say the same thing,
Okay.
I don't want to talk about it right now, but can we talk about it later?
Mhm.
And so when
Mhm.
it has given us some, especially if it's something that we just didn't, like I said, we ain't perfect. So we do have our
Yeah.
battles. So,
I'm sure
but,
y'all be having heated fellowship over there.
but we work through it though. We work through it, and he,
Yeah,
like I said, he's a way better communicator than I am, but I'm working on me. I'm working on
that's
me.
good.
I am, every day of my
That's
life.
where grace is so important, mother. Like
Yes.
for us to extend grace to each other because we're just two humans that made a choice to show up and to love each other, and we're not
Mm-hmm.
perfect, and we're gonna
No.
make mistakes. But I think that if you have that patience and you truly care for someone, like grace being there will help you to have the compassion that's needed to say,
Yeah.
are they trying? Like, are they? Is this person trying?
And it's okay to say, you know what, I was wrong. You were right.
Yeah,
And
that's
sometimes we
very
don't want to
important.
say that. Well, we're so prideful, we don't want to say that. But
Hmm.
sometimes it's okay to say that you're wrong. And especially if you're wrong, you've got to admit it.
Yeah,
So, and
that's
that was
very
one of the
important.
hardest things for me to admit that I was wrong about something. Because, I feel like I'm the boss. So I
Right.
feel like I was always right. So, but
You have to grow up playing. That's good.
yeah,
I think so. What you say that based off of where you were like a long time ago, being young, and where you are now, like you handle conflict totally different because of how you've grown.
yes, of course.
Hmm.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that
Man,
hands down. Yeah.
that's good
I'm more
stuff.
reasonable now, So yeah.
If you
So I'm
guys are
more
just
mild
tuning
mannered.
in,
I'm not young, so I'm more mild mannered now, so
which
I
is
can handle
good.
things a little bit different. Yeah.
Which is good. Listen, guys, if you're just tuning in, this is Covenant Talks with Dr. Holly. I am the host, and this is my guest, Mrs. C, Mama Doc. We are just here chatting it up, and we just wanted to go live for a quick moment to share tender moments between a mother and a daughter. And so I'm very grateful that she took this time out of her evening to share this space with me and to come on here and to share a little snippet of her life story as far as her being married, and then also again, like I said, just celebrated love, being in your 60s, going into your 60s, and having to experience love again and being married and finding someone very special for your life. So that's something I think that is beautiful. It is. People try to downplay it and say it's not common, but I really believe that people are out here making good
Oh
connections
yeah.
and finding love. I
Oh
really
yeah.
do.
Yes, it is.
So
Yes, it is.
yeah,
Yes.
I really do.
Yeah.
So I always am excited, and I like to put those type of things on display because so many people focus on a lot of negative stuff. So definitely like to do that. Well, we're coming to almost a close, so I wanted to ask you this question, and this
Oh.
is about me actually. So I want
Okay.
to ask you. So this is about advice for your daughter, and of course you have two daughters. So definitely, there's a heart matter when it comes to this and what you want to give, to your daughters. But just for us here, for the sake of the time, what would you want for me as your daughter to understand about the realities of marriage that you wish you knew earlier?
I just, my thing is, if I just stay true to yourself, don't lose yourself in marriage, because a lot of people in marriage lose their own identity.
Yeah.
I would never give that up. You cannot give up your identity. You have to stay true to who you are. And when you get that significant other, he will understand that and he will accept you for you.
I think that's very important. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and another statement I would say, um, I'm actually the daughter that have experienced divorce, and you know this. Um, what advice would you give me about healing? Because I'm on my journey and finding love again.
Well, I mean, for one thing, you have to give it to God, put it in God's hands, and leave it there. And you just can't keep dawning on it. And you will find love again because, I believe in you. I know the type of woman that you are. You're an amazing soul, not just because you're my daughter. And not only that, I come to you for advice.
Y'all heard it here first. She comes to me. I'll be the
I
captain and
do.
giving her some advice. Do you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. But
And
you
I
know
just
what?
know that
That's
you
one of the
will
things I
find love.
appreciate about both you and your husband is that you both do seek counsel. And I find
Hmm.
comfort in that you do see me as an outlet for that, where you guys can talk to me about
Absolutely.
those things and feel safe there. So that's really cool
Yeah.
too.
And you don't show bias. So,
I don't.
no, you don't.
I
You
think
gonna
you've
let me
done a
know
good
now.
job of not
Listen,
showing
Mom,
bias
now
too.
you know. So,
Like,
yeah,
did you think about it this way? But yeah, I
right,
think that that's very important because it's very easy to want to side, with someone that you love, but right is right and wrong is wrong. And so that's
right,
where accountability is. So we definitely want to make sure that we're again advocating for marriages and making sure that it's healthy. So definitely you don't want to be like, oh yeah, just do whatever you want to do and just feel
no,
free.
and I
Otherwise you'll
appreciate
be out
that.
here single again. And I'm trying to tell you, you don't need to be out here in these single streets.
Well, you just make sure you heal and whatever baggage that you have, you leave it at the door.
Absolutely. That is the goal. That is the focus. Well, mother, you did so good. And we're done.
Look, I hope.
We made it through. So listen, guys, I am your host with Covenant Talks. I am Dr. Holly. We are here with my guest, my beautiful mother, Mrs. C, Mama Doc, as y'all have heard me call her. Definitely want to take this time to introduce her to people so that we can share this tender moment. I hope you guys enjoy it. Looking forward to the comments that come back for it. And make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, listen, you owe it to yourself. So pay what's due, honey. Oh man,
Bye.
how do I end this live?